We gotta go, Mike. We gotta go, Mike. We gotta go, Mike.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Milkshake's Markets Madness. You are watching one of our flash market updates, a new segment that we're doing to try to keep you up to date on perhaps some of the things that we dive into deeper on the weekend episodes. If during the week we see some activity that's worth highlighting, we are excited to kind of bring you updated thoughts on that with this style segment. Now, if you're new to the show, you don't know who I am or Brent is, which I did not introduce either one of us just yet. My name is Jon Kutsmeda, and this is Brent Johnson. But as I was saying, if you're new to the show, you can head on over to the YouTube channel. At the top, we have a playlist called Start Here. I think that's the best way to kind of indoctrinate yourself on some of the conversations we have here, Brent's dollar milkshake theory, what that means, and how we view the global financial system. Brent, if anyone who is a frequent watcher of the show, is known as the dollar guy, but is actually secretly a gold bug. So in this flash update, we're going to talk about gold, where recently, the last 2 weeks, Brent has been a little bearish. I think partly because of how quick the reactionary move in the gold price was to the war, and particularly because Brent was hoping to buy it much cheaper, so he's a little emotionally stung by missing out on that entry.
Well, yeah, I guess I am a little bit, and that's the thing when somebody told me a long time ago, and at the time I probably was like, "That's horrible advice," but it was, I wanted to buy something that kept going higher, and I remember commenting. It was a guy that was kind of a colleague of mine who was a lot older than me and a lot more experienced, and I was like, God, I'm so annoyed. I can't buy that the stock keeps going higher. And he says, you don't like that it's going higher? I was like, no, I want it to be lower. And he says, well, if you don't like that it's going higher, sell some of it. And I was like, what are you talking about? Sell some of it? And he's like, yeah, if you think the price is too high, then sell it. You don't have to just buy things. You can make money if they go down. You can make money if they go up. And I remember that conversation, and I remember thinking, yeah, he's right, but I also didn't really employ that idea until much later, I guess, in my career. And so, I mentioned this maybe a month ago, that I thought gold was setting up for a very nice buy. However, then it made a huge move, in my opinion, based primarily on the geopolitical risks coming out of the Middle East. And I have never in my career seen gold move $100 on geopolitical concerns that didn't give it all back within a month or so. And so I think it was like October 17th or 18th, October 17th or 18th, where gold had, on a Friday, gold moved a lot higher. And so I started buying puts on the miners. And the reason I started buying puts on the miners was because I thought there was going to be a pullback in gold itself, but even if there wasn't a pullback in gold itself, I thought the miners would not appreciate at the same level that bullion would if gold continued to run higher. And so I started buying puts, and I actually put that on Twitter. And then, a week later, I bought some more. And so now, over the weekend, gold was up around $2,000. Today it got back down to like 1970 at one point. I think it's around 1980 now. The puts that I started buying, the miners are now anywhere from 50 cents to $1 below where I started buying those. So those puts are already have already appreciated quite a bit. I've sold some of them, but I still have a lot of them. And so I still think that we're going to have more of a pullback in gold. And I think when that happens, I think the miners will pull back as well. And I think it'll be a good tactical trade. Again, this is a tactical trade against my long-term view. And I think it's really important to be I think if you can figure out reasons to trade against your long-term view, it's a way to strengthen your long-term view, if anything, and it helps you kind of stay more engaged with the markets. And, if you can pick up a few pennies here and there while your long-term position is appreciating, why not do it? Now, I don't think this is for everybody. Some people just like to buy and hold. That's fine. But if you're somebody who likes to trade a little bit, I think it's important to understand that you can have counter moves within a long-term trend.
So you're kind of set already throughout various timing in your career where you've been able to, certainly over the last couple of years, position yourself in gold where you feel like you own enough of it, where if it does what you think it's going to do, over the next year or next 10 years, you're going to be very happy with your position in it. Seeing the setup, what you were hoping to be a potential washout, you felt like would be a good entry point, partly for newer clients and just to add to your position. Now, back to the anecdote you shared at the beginning, where this colleague talked about, hey, if you don't like the price, you can sell. This is a long-term strategic play for you as far as how you see gold working in the monetary system. So your short-term tactical sell because you are unhappy or uncomfortable or disagree with the price isn't to sell your holdings, but to, through contracts or options or puts, take a bearish stance. Now, what's also interesting is going into the weekend, we normally do a longer full-length episode to kind of recap the week. You're going to a conference, so perhaps you can share a little bit more in case we are unable to fit in an episode while you're there, how your views currently on gold might be reflected at this conference, how you might be sharing those views, and really overall what you're hoping to get out of the conversations you have there.
Well, I think the conference, so it's the New Orleans Investment Conference. It's put on by a guy named Brian Lundeen, and it's a conference that's been around for a really long time, and it's interesting because you get some macro guys there, you get a lot of gold guys there, you get some libertarian types there, and to me, I see a lot of people that I know, and it's always kind of fun to catch up with them and get their take on things. And so I'm always interested to see, like, if anybody has changed their mind. And usually they don't. Usually people kind of have their own way of doing things and, their own style and their own theme or whatever you want to call it. But every now and then somebody has something new. And that's what it always kind of gets interesting. And, well, why do you have something new? Or why do you think that? So I'm pretty interested to hear that. I'm kind of a unique person and when I go to these conferences, especially if there are some other gold guys there, because I kind of consider myself a gold guy, but I'm not a traditional gold guy because most gold guys think you should only own gold and nothing else is worth owning. And, the dollar's going to die. And therefore, you got to be in the one asset that can't get inflated away and all the, and, listen, I think gold has an extremely important role to play. I think it's the foundation of every portfolio, or should be the foundation of every portfolio. But to me, it's not the end-all, be-all. To me, it's not holy. It's not a religious thing. At some point, gold will do. I think gold's going to go much, much higher, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. But there will come a point where that will end, and it'll be time to sell gold and go on to do something else. And so I'm kind of interested. I'm more interested in the path than the destination, I guess is the right way to say it. A lot of the people that are in the gold world are, in my opinion, maybe I'm misinterpreting, but they're more interested in the destination than the path.
The Brent Johnson, the philosopher. For those who are unfamiliar with the dollar milkshake theory, as I mentioned, there's a segment of videos we put together in a playlist that will kind of welcome you into that storyline. But Brent uses different movies to kind of articulate his view on how things are going to play out. The most important one in regards to dollar and gold is Highlander and this epic battle at the end between the last two immortals standing. So if you're not familiar with some of that comparison, please watch the dollar milkshake theory presentation that Brent has done. It's the first video in that Start Here playlist. But he is certainly a believer in gold. And if there's any kind of religious anecdote, it's the fact that he uses some very interesting movies to tell that story. So look, Brent, I think that was a great way to lead us into the weekend, lead us into your conference, and definitely give us something to look forward to when you come back, because it seems like you'll be fishing for some new points of view from new friends and old friends. So thanks for sharing that. And thanks for everybody for joining us for this flash market update. We'll see everybody real soon. I said you look like gold. This show is provided for entertainment and informational purposes only. It should not be relied upon as legal, business, investment, or tax advice. Neither the hosts, guests, nor any funds they may manage intends to make an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies.